Let me know when you go on. Oh, where
Yeah,
we go now? There we go.
Just
right.
give me a second here.
Hit record.
Share to Facebook.
All right. Welcome, YouTube. YouTube, we are live. Who's ready for some Karate Kid?
Wax on, wax off.
Wax on, wax off. All right, we're getting ready to let people know now. What do you think? Got a little Cobra going on here. There we go. Thank you guys all for coming.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I'm excited, man. Everyone's talking about the Cobra Kai series. Of course, Kyle, we already knew about that 2 years ago.
Yeah, you know, we've known about that for a little bit.
All right. Send me the link if you don't mind.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. You have been linked.
All right. It's going to be interesting to see what people say about the other Karate Kid movies, if we have anyone talking about that.
Well, come on. We're going to talk about the next Karate Kid, right?
The next Kung Fu Kid?
The one with Hilary Swank?
Oh, that one.
Does it still exist?
All right. Let me go ahead. Come on. Let me get this chat open here too for anyone that wants to say hi. If you guys are watching us live right now, please make sure you hit the chat there, and we'll let you guys shout out some stuff too, so we can let you know. Pop out chat. There we go. All right. Let's do some Twitter here.
Yeah.
There's my buddy Robert. The next Karate Kid was awesome. Hilary Swank. I actually did enjoy it.
Yeah,
I think it was the third one.
The third one was a little rough. That was the one with Terry Silva.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, recording's going.
Yes, just let me push out a little social media here real quick. Let people know so they can join in.
We want you all here. We hope you have your popcorn ready, your wax on to be ready.
That's right.
Sand the floor.
And of course, all nights my phone's like really slow right now. All right, there we go. Do that one.
Well, we are.
Robert does have a point. Michael Ironside was in that one.
Which one? The next
Karate Kid? It was the third one, right?
I don't think he was in the third one.
Was it? Oh, was it the? I
think it was the next Karate Kid.
The Hilary Swank one.
Swank one.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right. I got one more to go. Let people know we are in the house. Okay. Kyle, we got a little bit of script writing after you got the intro going. Are you going to do the intro first, and then we'll do the?
We can do that. Let me just get everything.
Or do you want to do the? Do you want to do the script first?
Let's do it.
I'm going to be Kreese.
Well, wait a minute here now.
Can you do a good Kreese? Because I can.
Okay, well, if you can do a good Kreese.
You can be Bobby, and you could be Johnny Lawrence.
Oh, look. I'm like all of Cobra Kai here.
Thanks for checking in all the way over from Scotland, Mr. Robert McGregor. Appreciate you, buddy. I'm gonna have to hang out at your crib next time we're in the UK. Actually, yeah, that's right. You're in the UK. You're not in Scotland, but you would like to go to Scotland with us, don't you? Yeah.
Well, it is 7:32, so let us get started with a little couch potato theater, The Karate Kid.
Bobby, I want him out of commission.
But Sensei, I can beat this guy.
I don't want him beat.
But I'll be disqualified.
Out of commission. Sweep the leg. Do you have a problem with that?
No, Sensei.
No mercy! Welcome to Couch Potato Theater here on the Fandom Podcast Network. Couch Potato Theater celebrates our favorite movies and all those hidden gems like cult classics, guilty pleasures, those box office blockbusters, and failures. You may own a copy of these movies, but when it comes on TV, you know, your basic cable and such, you love what you're watching so much, you don't get off that couch. You just go ahead and watch it. And Kyle, that's the definition of what this show is all about. I'm Kevin, one of your co-hosts for this special Couch Potato Theater. And we're proud to celebrate with you all The Karate Kid, the original one from 1984. Kyle, this is it, man. People are excited about Karate Kid again because of Cobra Kai.
I think you just brought me on this podcast because you're trying to actually get me to do all your chores.
Well, you know, wax on, wax off. I got a lot of cleaning to do over here. I wish I had all those cool cars to wax, though. But
Yeah,
but no,
no
man,
kidding.
we're talking about the original Karate Kid right now, man.
Yeah. When you talked about doing this couch potato theater, obviously it was inspired by Cobra Kai, and we wanted to time this out, especially with now Cobra Kai being on Netflix and just getting this huge response on Netflix. Now, Kevin and I, we've been hyping Cobra Kai here on the Fandom Podcast Network for a couple of years now.
Yeah, since 2018 when it first came out on that premium YouTube channel that you had to pay for.
So, and it's really brought Karate Kid and that whole universe back into a big spotlight, but it's also opened up a lot of questions, Kevin.
It has. And what's interesting about Cobra Kai is that it really does a great job of paying tribute to the original source, which other fandoms could probably take a page and learn to do. So, but we want to celebrate the Karate Kid because of how well that Cobra Kai pays tribute to it. And it's Cobra Kai is basically a direct sequel. But what's interesting as we've gotten older, Kyle, you know, when we were young, we were like, yay, Daniel, woohoo, crane kick, woohoo. But as we've gotten older, you know, crane kick, illegal or not, and, you know, certain memes and t-shirts, we've kind of sided a little bit with Cobra Kai and Johnny a little bit, and it's kind of gone back and forth. And this has been explored very, very well in Cobra Kai. So we're going to tease a big question that we're going to answer later in the show, Kyle. Daniel or Johnny, over the span of their lifetime, who is a bigger jerk? Who is right? Any thoughts? You're going to save it for later.
I'm going to save most of it for later, but let me put it this way. I think they both can fall into multiple categories.
Yeah, this is true. We're going to touch on that. But first of all, I want to thank everyone for joining us here on the Fandom Podcast Network. But before we move on, we'll give you little places where you can find us. First of all, if you're watching this live, this is our first couch potato theater going live here. So this is cool.
Well, so this is our first traditional sense couch potato theater going live because we actually did a very special edition of couch potato theater for a watch party.
This is true. We did the awesome Bill and Ted Face the Music, but that was kind of like a commentary slash watch party, and that was a lot of fun. But yeah, this is a traditional couch potato theater format, and we're doing that live now on YouTube. We're also going to have the audio podcast for you later. But that is one way that you can support us. Is please head over to our Fandom Podcast Network. If you're watching this now, please subscribe and give us a like there too on the actual show, and that would really, really help us out, and we would appreciate that. So Fandom Podcast Network, search that on YouTube. Also, our master feed for all of our audio podcasts can be found on fpnet.podbean.com. And there you can, the Fandom Podcast Network, you can stream and download the Podbean app. We're also on Apple Podcast, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Tuned In, Kyle?
Yes, tuned in. Regular Amazon Music as well. So
Amazon Music, very cool. Also, we're on Facebook. Head on over and search Fandom Podcast Network. Give us a like and follow us there. You can also email us, fandompodcastnetwork@gmail.com. We're also on Instagram and Twitter under Fandom Podcast Network. My name is Kevin. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Spartan_Phoenix. Kyle, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at AKyleW or on Instagram at AKyleFandom.
Great. And of course, supporting us on YouTube is great. We would love that. But also, if you head on over to Apple Podcasts and iTunes, please search for Fandom Podcast Network. And we would love a rated review there, please. That would give us more exposure to new people and fans. We'd love 5-star reviews, of course, but we'd love feedback in general. Welcome to Couch Potato Theater, Kyle. Here, The Karate Kid, 1984. Little plot going on here. I'm sure most of us know, but it's kind of fun to read it here. After leaving his hometown in New Jersey, teenager Daniel LaRusso arrives in sunny Los Angeles with his single mother, Lucille. Like a fish out of water, the newcomer will be up against the difficulty of fitting in. And on top of that, he will soon find himself being targeted in school by Johnny Lawrence's gang of local karate practicing bullies. Under those circumstances, and constantly picked on, Daniel will turn to the apartment building's caretaker, an unexpected master martial arts mentor, Mr. Miyagi, who will agree to teach Daniel karate for the upcoming All Valley Karate Championship tournament. Eventually taken under Miyagi's wing, Daniel will learn a compassionate and more delicate form of karate. However, is the inexperienced Daniel a match for brutal Johnny and the Cobra Kai Dojo Lethal Karate? Woo! So Kyle, there was a lot of development going on here on this particular movie. The Karate Kid is a semi-autobiography story based on the life of its screenwriter, Robert Mark Kamen. At age 17, after the 1964 New York World's Fair, Kamen was beaten up by a gang of bullies and thus began to study martial arts in order to defend himself. Kamen was unhappy with his first teacher, who taught martial arts as a tool for violence and revenge. So he moved on to study Okinawan Gurururi karate under a Japanese teacher who did not speak English, but was himself a student of Chojun Miyake. As a Hollywood screenwriter, Kamen was mentored by Frank Price, who told him that producer Jerry Weintraub had optioned a news article about the young child of a single mother who had earned a black belt to defend himself against the neighborhood bullies. Kamen then combined his own life story with the news article and used both to create the screenplay for Karate Kid. Also, too, DC Comics had a character called Karate Kid. The filmmakers received special permission from DC in 1984 to use the title for the first film and its sequels. Kyle, did you know that there was a Karate Kid in the DC universe?
Yes, actually, it was a character that was a member of the Legion of Superheroes, and the character was actually killed off in the comics, but has been since, thanks to many different comic book mechanisms, been brought back to life and killed off multiple times. If you watch the end credits of the Karate Kid, there is a credit to DC Comics for creating the Karate Kid.
Of course. Well, that's good. They're playing nice there, so that's good. So we talk about theatrical posters, Kyle. We've got pretty much one main one that's kind of have different incarnations. Some we just see of of Daniel LaRusso doing his crane kick practicing out by the ocean. But the more famous one that we see, of course, is with Daniel Miyagi, forefront at the top with the Karate Kid logo, with the silhouette, and then maybe a shot of this final tournament against Johnny. Pretty iconic, you know. There's no bones about it, you know. It's there, and that's what you get.
Yeah, I do remember a second image though. I don't know if it was ever put into a poster, but I know it was on the VHS of it was the beach scene where and it shows Daniel on the it's a silhouette of Daniel on that post on the
Yes.
beach doing
Yep.
trying to learn the crane kick with the Karate Kid over it. That was the image that I was actually most familiar with. I didn't start seeing this one until later on.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was some movie taglines. There was only the old one could teach him the secrets of the masters. He taught him the secret of karate that lies in the mind and the heart, not in the hands. Do you remember these? Do you remember these taglines, Kyle?
No, not really. I never remember the Karate Kid really having a tagline.
Yeah, maybe they were like in print, you know, for like newspaper and stuff like that. But so let's get down to it, Kyle. When and where did you first see this film, and what kind of impact did it have on you the first time watching it?
I actually saw this in the theater. My parents took me to go see the Karate Kid in the theater. I just remember really enjoying it. It was a fun film. I do think that the Karate Kid kind of gains more momentum a few years down the road in the VHS realm. Obviously, a lot of people were high on it because of Mr. Miyagi, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But I just remember just enjoying this movie, and everybody came out of it feeling good and in a happy place afterwards. And it was just kind of one of those feel good movies at the time.
Yeah, it was, and I was with a group of friends because I was about, I want to say 13 when this came out.
Yeah, I was
Because
9 when it hit.
yeah, and I went with a group of friends. I think I want to say I saw it in a theater here in Santa Barbara, but out in Goleta, which is a suburb of Santa Barbara where I work. And I want to say it was like the Plaza Del Oro Twin or something like that. And I remember with a group of people, and it was the perfect movie to see at that age. It was just, it was like almost it was made for us. And you know, we've all dealt with bullies before, and it was nice to see something like this on the big screen with some type of redemption for this kid, but also learning something and learning some culture at the same time. But I remember it coming out on VHS, but I don't think I got it on VHS soon, Kyle. But it seems like it was playing on television all the time. You know, whether it was on HBO or Cinemax or just on basic cable. I think I saw it on basic cable countless times, and I may have recorded it off our VCR just because I didn't want to buy the VHS at the time.
Yeah, this was one of those movies that hit at just the right time for cable when HBO, especially and Showtime, were just looking for any programming they could get. And I know it made this was constantly on one of them, mostly HBO. But I think because of the family friendly kind of feel of this film, it did make a lot of like when network television. Of course, you have to remember, think about how long a movie had to be out to hit network television after it got out of the theaters. And this was in the theaters. I remember this being in the theaters for at least a couple of months.
It might have been longer. Yeah. I may have recorded it off television later on, but I did it one of those ways where you're watching it and then you pause it during the commercials and the
Mhm.
commercials are over and then you unpause it. You know?
Ah,
So
the days of VHS hacking.
yes, yes. So let's talk about some of our favorite. What do we got next? Okay, favorite scenes, Kyle. I want to start with you first. There's so many to choose from. So many iconic scenes. Either it's the training scenes, the scenes with Allie. You know, some of the tussle scenes, and then you got the final tournament at the end. What were some of your favorite scenes?
You know, one of my favorite scenes is actually one I think that gets a little underrated, and that is when Daniel and Miyagi are coming back from all the training on the beach, and the guys are sitting there on Miyagi's truck and they're drinking and they have all the bottles up there and they're giving him a hard time. And Miyagi asks them to clear the bottles and they really kind of don't. And then he breaks the bottles and then they're just clearing them up as fast as they can.
Yeah,
I
one
think
of
that's
those.
always been a fun moment in the
Yeah,
movie.
one of those guys was played by was it Larry Drake? Is that his name? Larry something. He was the villain in the original Dark Man, and he's gone on to do a bunch of stuff. I remember that. But yeah, that's a good scene. What else?
I was always a fan of the scene where we first kind of when Miyagi first saves Daniel at the
Yeah,
dance.
yeah,
Um, I think that was always good. I'm a huge fan of obviously anything to do with the Valley Karate Tournament. I
Right,
mean,
right.
all that stuff is classic. And I think just the whole training montage when the classic Karate Kid music kicks in and you see the two of them training together as Daniel's becoming more and more fluent in Miyagi's teachings. I think that's
Yeah.
always a great scene, and that piece of music from the score is just so timeless.
Those are some of the best scenes when it shows that Daniel's learning from Miyagi and understanding him and respecting him and his ways, and you could see it in Pat Morita's wonderful acting because he is noticing certain things that are getting through to Daniel's head. And obviously Daniel throws up some frustration and some funny scenes, and then the scene where he starts to realize that he's learning karate with the wax on, wax off, and that stuff. But obviously the end scene with the karate tournament is wonderful. I really like the scene where it's his birthday and
Oh
Miyagi
yeah,
asked him, "Do you have your driver's license?" He says, "Oh
yeah,
yeah," and he shows him his driver's license, and he takes him out and he shows him the cars that he's been waxing and cleaning, and he goes, "Pick."
yeah. I know. Don't you wish?
Oh my God! And why does he go up to the yellow one right away? I'm not sure why. I like that black one that was next to him
Yeah.
and further
I,
down,
I
but
think I think they kind of established earlier in the film though that was kind of the one that stood out to him, and
yeah,
obviously it was kind of the big one that for wax on wax off. Another one of my favorite scenes too is of course the catching the fly with the chopsticks.
yeah, yes.
Beginner's luck.
I do like the continuation of the scene where he gets the car and he's just cruising in the car, looking for Allie because Allie's still kind of pissed off at him after the argument that they had, and he goes by the golf and stuff where they all hang out and with the water park slide there, and he's just like cruising in that car, and he's just like, I mean, that's like every teenager's dream, getting your license and showing up in a very cool car. So
Yeah.
that was really really cool. So let's talk about some of our favorite quotes. There's some famous one, Kyle. Famous
Oh,
ones, Kyle.
there's to me there is three just obvious quotes in this film.
All right.
There's
What would you say is the most famous one?
I'm gonna say it's a tie actually because I think wax on, wax off, and sweep the leg Johnny are on that equal level.
Wax on, wax off, sweep the leg. Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah.
What about get him a body bag? Yeah.
I think that's number three just because of how it's said more than anything.
I like what kind of belt you have? Oh, JC Penney,
Yeah.
$3.98. By the way, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but he doesn't really speak in that language, Pat
No,
Morita. He's a
no.
stand-up comedian,
In fact,
and if you go back and watch Happy Days and all that kind of stuff, he doesn't talk with that accent. He's very
yeah.
funny.
Well, and we'll get to it later because it almost cost him this role.
It did. Yeah, yeah. Oh, so good. So any other quotes out there that jump out at you?
There's so many great quotes in this, and so many scenes. I always liked it when they talk about the bottles afterwards. He's like, "How did you do that? How did you do that? Don't know. First time."
I like too because we get the Cobra Kai motto when Kreese says, "We do not train to be merciful here. Mercy is for the weak. Here in the street, in competition, a man confronts you. He is the enemy. An enemy deserves no mercy. What is the problem, Mr. Lawrence?"
Yeah. And actually, one of my favorite scenes that kind of really, I think, sets up the Miyagi character too, where you have Daniel. Okay, so what are the rules here? Don't know. First time you, first time me. Well, I figured you knew about this stuff. I figured you went to these before. Oh, great. I'm dead. I am dead. You told me you fought a lot. For life, not for points.
It's also real subtle, but when he's like, when they're going to sign up for the karate competition and they're all like, what belt are you? And you have to be like brown or black belt. And he says, "Oh, black belt." And then when they're trying to get into the competition, they say, "Oh, no, you can't go, only students and trainers only." And so they
Translator.
say that Ali's the translator, and then he goes, "Oh, okay, go ahead." And then Miyagi goes, "Thank you."
Yeah. Well, another one of the things, and I think this is just what makes Pat Morita so great in this film, is his delivery on things. Hey, where did all these old cars come from? Detroit.
I know. Funny. Oh man. Okay, so let me ask you. This is a question we always ask recently, and there really isn't a lot of choices, but for obvious reasons, we're going to bring it up. Kyle, um, who's your movie crush in the film?
Come on, it's Allie all the way. This is
Elizabeth Shue. She's so cute in this, isn't she? Doing her own backflips too. You know, she's quite. She's an athlete herself. But yeah, Elizabeth Shue. Just she's just that that girl next door type of thing. Would you say is
okay.
what we find attractive about her?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna throw out this question then real quick, Kevin. Elizabeth Shue cuter here or cuter in Adventures in Babysitting, or does she top them both with Cocktail?
Okay, so we're growing up with Allie here at this time,
Yeah,
Kyle. So
exactly.
first you got this. Is it this and then Adventures in Babysitting, right?
It's this, then Adventures in Babysitting, then
So
Cocktail.
it's all three because I'm growing up with her. But you know, when I look back now, I would have to say probably Adventures in Babysitting a little bit. Cocktail is just kind of weird because you have to see her with Tom Cruise all the time.
Yeah.
But God, she was hot in that. So
Yeah.
Carl Nordstrom is in the chat, by the way. It's coming around.
Oh,
uh,
wait. Is this the same? Is this the same Carl Nordstrom you have no chance against this weekend?
Yes, that's fantasy football, and we will talk about that in the next episode live of the End Zone.
No, this is that was it was just high comedy, but of what happened, and we'll explain that later. Tune in live to the End Zone exclusively here on the Phantom Podcast Network YouTube channel. But back to Couch Potato Theater.
Leader is in the house. Please say who your name is. I don't know that handle, but he said Pat got a lot of flack from the Japanese community because he referred to himself as the hip nip. Yeah.
Yes, there's things about Mr. Miyagi that probably wouldn't fly in this day and age.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stuff in 80s films that
Yeah.
aren't very won't fly. So yeah. Yeah, I would agree with you. Definitely Elizabeth Shue here. So there you go. So the director is John G. Alvidson. We recently lost him in 2017. He wasn't to me a household name. He's done a lot of stuff though. He did go on to direct The Karate Kid 2. He did 8 Seconds. He also directed Rocky 5, Karate Kid Part 3 as well. So he was busy with Karate Kid. And what else he's done? Night in Heaven. He did Rocky. So yeah, he knew his stuff. He knew how to do
He knew
fighting
his stuff,
films.
but I think Karate Kid and Karate Kid Part 2 might be his apex. Possibly Lean on Me.
What about Rocky?
Rocky 5.
No, the original Rocky. He directed the original Rocky 2 as well. Sorry.
Yeah, but Stallone had so much influence in that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, yeah. I would say Karate Kid, maybe. I would
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
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 Lean on Me would be in that mix, but
Definitely. Definitely. We mentioned the writer, Robert Mark Kamen. So filming began October 31st in 1983 and it wrapped December 16th. The film's fight choreographer for the combat scenes was Pat E. Johnson, a Tang Sudo karate black belt who had previously been featured in Bruce Lee's American Hong Kong martial arts film Enter the Dragon, and worked with Chuck Norris at the American Tang Soo Do Martial Arts School. Johnson also makes an appearance as the referee in The Karate Kid. Pat Morita's stunt double for Mr. Miyagi is Fumio Demura, is also a karate black belt who had previously worked with Bruce Lee and learned some nunchaku techniques. Nunchucks. So there's a cultural influence, obviously, here. The series has been credited for popularizing karate in the United States. The 2007 music video for the song Sweep the Leg by No More King stars William Zabka, who played Johnny, who also directed the video as a character of himself, and features references to the Karate Kid, including a cameo appearance of Zabka's former Karate Kid co-stars. Now, do you remember this, Kyle? Machio and Zabka made a guest appearance as themselves in the How I Met Your Mother episode, The Bro Mitzvah.
and this is what's got the ball rolling for the possibility of Cobra Kai.
Yes. In this episode, Machio is invited to Barney Stinson's bachelor party, leading to Barney shouting out that he hates Machio and that Johnny was the real hero of Karate Kid. Towards the end of the episode, a clown in the party wipes off his makeup and reveals himself as Zabka. Dude, I totally remember that episode. Do you
Oh
remember
yeah,
that?
that was considered one of the classic episodes of How I Met Your Mother, and like I said just a few minutes ago, it kind of started that ball rolling in the back of Machio's head for Cobra Kai.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Carl Nordstrom said, I still can't hear Cruel Summer and not think of this
Oh
film."
no, that song. When we get that, but that song is eternally tied to this film.
Agreed. Laura Janice is in the chat as well. Good to see you. Good to see you. Okay, so we have some casting stuff going on here, Kyle. We're going to talk about the cast here. Many actors were considered for the part of Daniel, including Sean Penn, Robert Downey Jr., Charlie Sheen, Emilio Estevez, Nicolas Cage, Anthony Edwards, Tom Cruise, and Eric Stoltz. Ralph Macchio was ultimately cast on the strength of his performance as Johnny Cade in The Outsiders. It seems like all of these guys, maybe let's just say the cast of Outsiders and their friends, were always considered for every part of all movies at this time.
Yeah. Interesting side note, Rob Lowe has a wonderful podcast, and he talks about, and he was actually on the Bill Simmons podcast as well. And in that particular podcast that he does, he talks about how all these guys were constantly going for the same movies, and that's how they all really kind of became friends. And they ended up, a lot of them ended up like splitting apartments in California and Hollywood and stuff like that. So, but no, the truth of the matter is though, I can't see anybody but Ralph Macchio as Daniel LaRusso, even going back to then.
Yeah, I can't either. I mean, he was and the other thing too was that he looked the age that he was playing, even though he was 23 at the time. I mean, he just looked the part. And Macchio stated that his performance as Johnny influenced the development of Daniel LaRusso in the film, The Karate Kid. Macchio later commented that the character was originally named Danny Weber. As soon as I walked in the room, it changed to LaRusso. I guess he had a LaRusso feel about it. It feels right too, especially with his New Jersey roots, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
This is interesting, and this might have changed everything. The studio originally wanted the role of Mr. Miyagi to be played by the very famous Toshiro Mifune, who had appeared in the film Rashomon, 1957 Samurai, and The Hidden Fortress, but the actor didn't speak English. But Pat Morita later auditioned for the role and was rejected for the part due to his close association with stand-up comedy, like you alluded to this earlier, Kyle, and for the character Arnold on Happy Days. After a few failed attempts, Morita grew a beard and patterned his accent after his uncle, which led him to being cast in the role. Can you imagine anyone else doing that? Toshiro Mifune would have been good, though. It would have been a different.
He would have
movie,
been,
though.
but I think because of Pat Morita's comic ability, he was able to humanize Miyagi a little more and make him relatable for all of us in a way. And I think that's a very key point for the Mr. Miyagi character, because it did lead to some pretty high recognition for Pat Morita in this role.
Yeah, definitely. This is an interesting casting. I don't know if this would have worked. Crispin Glover was considered for the role of Johnny, but the studio later opted for William Zabka.
No, Crispin. The problem with Crispin Glover, even this is before Back to the Future, he just doesn't. He doesn't come off as that all-American bully type that Johnny does.
Agreed. Some other notes on the cast here. After his audition, Zabka saw Macchio, who noted Zabka scared the crap out of me during his audition to the studio. When he was cast, Zabka was a wrestler with no previous training in karate. So you could definitely tell he was very agile and he was an athlete. Yeah. So he was able to pick up the karate very well. But this is an interesting casting. What if Demi Moore was considered for the role of Allie, but Elizabeth Shue was cast basically partly on a Burger King commercial that became widely popular in the early 1980s. The film marks the debut roles of both Zabka and Shue. Can you imagine a young Demi Moore doing that? I can, kind of.
Yeah, I you know what? Truthfully, Elizabeth Shue has too much of that all-American look that Demi Moore really didn't have even at that time.
Right. I mean, if you watch, what is it? God, One Crazy Summer with John Cusack. She's really she's cute, nice in that. But I don't know if she could have done what she did in this. So
Well, and
yeah,
I think Elizabeth Shue also honestly had that California cute blonde thing going on. So
true, very true. So with the cast, let's kind of touch on this very quickly. Kyle, of course, we've got Ralph Macchio as Daniel, Pat Morita as Miyagi, Elizabeth Shue as Allie, Martin Kove as Evil Crease. We've got Randy Heller, who played Lucille. Of course, that is Daniel's mom. William Zabka as Johnny. And then we've got Cobra Kai. We got Ron Thomas as Bobby, Rob Garrison as Tommy, Chad McQueen as Dutch, Tony Odell as Jimmy. Let me get your thoughts there, Kyle. But I did want to let you know that there was a uncredited member of Cobra Kai by someone's brother by the name of Andrew Shue.
yes, they kind of tag along. You know, I also want to shout out to we had Larry B. Scott in this film before Revenge of the Nerds.
Yes, Larry B. Scott. Of course, if you want to see Larry B. Scott kick some butt, watch what is it? The Nick Nolte film Extreme Prejudice, where he plays one of the mercenaries. He's really good in that. But yeah. uh,
Yes.
so go ahead. Any other thoughts on the cast here, Kyle?
No, no, I think this was the cast was solid all the way around. I know there was also some talk of in the you were casting as a Valerie Harper playing Daniel's mother. I think the problem was she was too big of a star at that point. A
Yeah,
lot of people knew who
possibly.
Valerie, and I think she would have taken away from the film. I think that's one of the things that really sells this film is for the most part, outside of Pat Morita and people knew obviously who Daniel Ralph Macchio was from The Outsiders, but it was a cast of unknowns for the most part, and I think that's what sells this movie even more and makes it work.
Yeah, and, you know, as 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 the bullies were introduced in this film, they stand out, especially I want to say Chad McQueen is Dutch because he has that scene at the karate championships when they're getting ready and dressing up and is ready to just take off Daniel's head and threatens him. And he was really good in that. Of course, Steve McQueen's son as well. So Chad McQueen has gone on to done a lot of kind of B action films and such, but he was good in that. He was a good villain in that.
Yeah, I just want to shout out to the chat. Leader is our good friend John Cage, who you will be hearing soon on this very network.
Ah, John Cage. What's up, John? Good to see you, man. Yes, we did a wonderful Couch Potato Theater Predator 1987, and John is part of the Predator Dragon Con, I guess, costume group. That's what it is. And they did a wonderful job with our buddy Johnny and everyone else in there as well. So stay tuned for that. Good to see you. All right. So this movie is a little bit longer than expected, but I think it does well. It's just over 2 hours. It's 2 hours and 6 minutes, but I think it's edited well. Wouldn't you say, Kyle?
Yeah, there's no downtime in this film. And even when the moments that are slower, it's necessary, I think, because it's some serious character building thing. But yeah, when people hear Karate Kid's over 2 hours, what?
So it was released on June 22nd, 1984. Only a budget of $8 million. Opening weekend made a little over 5 million and then grossed worldwide $91 million, which made that a bona fide box office hit.
This was definitely a word of mouth movie, though, Kevin. This was one where people went and saw it and then told their friends, "You got to go see this."
We saw it more than once, Kyle. It was one of those things that we did, I think, on several weekends. We went back and watched this again. So yeah, you're right. Absolutely right. Rotten Tomatoes says that it gives an approval rating of 88%. They say utterly predictable and wholly of its time, but warm, sincere, and difficult to resist, due in a large part to Morita and Ralph Macchio's relaxed chemistry. That's a good point. Their chemistry is amazing.
Yeah, they really do have that mentor student thing going on, but it's almost like, I don't want to say father figure son, but like grandfather grandsons kind of thing going on there. And what's interesting is it's interesting to watch that relationship build, because there are times when you see where Daniel doesn't take Miyagi seriously. And I've always kind of felt the turning point in that movie is when Daniel sees that Miyagi has the Medal of Honor.
Yes, yeah, and you realize what he starts to realize what he's been through, and also the loss of his wife too. That's
Yeah.
a very important scene, and it was very important to give some background to Mr. Miyagi himself and what he's been through. On its release, Roger Ebert called the film one of the year's best, gave it 4 stars out of 4, and described it as an exciting, sweet-tempered, heartwarming story with one of the most interesting friendships in a long time. Usually he misses stuff from time to time, but I think he got it right on this one, Kyle.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. The Karate Kid, it may not be like the best film, but it just hits that spot.
It does.
And I think that's what Roger really talks about in his review.
And we kind of did a theme on this, Kyle, where we talked about on Time Warp several months ago, and you can find that under Fandom Podcast Network, the Time Warp section, where we talked about 1980s high school films versus 1990 high school films. And this movie was brought up, and this was ranked number 31 on Entertainment Weekly's list of 50 best high school movies. Seems a little low, wouldn't you say, Kyle?
It's hard to say. There's some pretty good high school movies out there.
Now, you touched on a little bit earlier, guys. I think it was Carl mentioned was it Cruel Summer?
Yes.
The music. We got to talk about the music real quick here. The music score for The Karate Kid was composed by Bill Conti, a frequent collaborator of director John J. Avildsen since their initial pairing in Rocky, 1976. The instrumental score was orchestrated by Jack Askew and featured pan flute solos by George Zamfir. On March 12, 2007, it was released. All 4 Karate Kid scores in a 4 CD box set, was limited to 2,500 copies worldwide. The soundtrack is released in 1984 by Casablanca Records, containing many of the contemporary songs featured in the film. Of particular note is Joe Esposito's "You're the Best," featured during the tournament montage near the end of the film. Originally written for Rocky III in 1982, "You're the Best" was rejected by Sylvester Stallone in favor of Survivor's hit song "Eye of the Tiger." Okay, Kyle. Oh, I think Sylvester did a good thing here. I'm just going to say.
Yes. I think Sylvester made the right choice, but I will say this. You're the best around in that high school karate championship montage. Fits so perfectly with the Karate Kid, and now is completely like Cruel Summer. I think even more so is associated with the Karate Kid.
I would agree, and I just want to say, "Eye of the Tiger" for Rocky III was the perfect song. It made you coming in that theater just wanting to fight, So, coincidentally, Survivor also performed the main theme, "The Moment of Truth," music and lyrics Bill Conti. For the Karate Kid. Bananarama's 1984 hit song "Cruel Summer" also made its US debut in the Karate Kid, but was excluded from the film's soundtrack album. Other songs featured in the film were left off the album include "Please Answer Me," performed by Broken Edge, and "The Ride," performed by Matches. So that's interesting how some stuff makes it into the movie but doesn't make it onto that soundtrack. But when it comes down to it, "You're the Best," that's got to be the standout, right?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, and the fact that it goes with a montage scene, and nothing is better than a good montage scene, except a good training montage scene.
Yeah. Just want a quick thing on this: the filming locations all shot in and around LA, including that golf and stuff. I've actually been by there before. There's also the famous apartment complex where the LaRusso stayed. It's still there. You could still see it. They filmed a scene there actually as well in Cobra Kai. You can go on a Karate Kid movie filming location tour, so it is still there. So, but we got a lot of stuff to get to. We're not done yet. We're about halfway done here. Before we go to trivia and some other stuff coming up here, we've got we're gonna let you know what's going on. We got some fun trivia, but we're gonna take a quick break and let you know what other podcasts are here on the Fandom Podcast Network. Thank you for listening. We hope you're enjoying this podcast. We like to continue to feed your ears by inviting you to listen to the Fandom Podcast Network and all of the other awesome shows we have to offer. It starts with our flagship show, Culture Clash, our weekly pop culture news podcast. Bloody Kings, our Highlander podcast. Couch Potato Theater, our podcast celebrating our favorite movies. Time Warp, the Fandom Flashback podcast discussing a year in movies and our favorite pop culture topics. End Zone, the NFL podcast, Good Evening, an Alfred Hitchcock podcast, Union Federation, our Star Trek and Orville podcast, Hair Metal, the 80s and early 90s rock metal podcast, Type 40, our Doctor Who podcast, Lethal Mullet, a 1980s and 90s action film podcast, What a Piece of Junk, a Star Wars podcast, and our newest show, Making Treks, a new Star Trek podcast with a deep dive into the final frontier with host Mark Newbold and Adam P. O'Brien. You can enjoy all of these great Fandom Podcast Network shows on our master feed at fpnet.podbean.com. Fandom Podcast Network is also on Apple Podcast, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. You can also find us on Facebook under Fandom Podcast Network. You can also email us at fandompodcastnetwork@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram and Twitter under Fandom Podcast Network. Thank you for listening, and remember, respect others and enjoy your fandom. All right, welcome back to Couch Potato Theater here on the Fandom Podcast Network. We're live on YouTube, and we are talking about the Karate Kid, the original 1984 Karate Kid. Kyle, I got a trivia that it's kind of a question that Carl Nordstrom threw out in the chat here. Better sensei, Miyagi or Yoda?
You know what? I'm actually going to say Miyagi because Yoda was keeping secrets all over the place.
He knew Luke wasn't ready yet. I say Yoda because you might learn some Force, so who knows?
I don't know. It's tough to top, wax on, wax off, though.
Carl's he's feeling it here too. He says, just watching Cobra Kai season 2, glad I switched over. Fun podcast. So thank you, Carl. Appreciate that, man. So this movie was the top rental of 1985. Does not surprise me, Kyle, because this came out in 84, played for several months. Boom, you got to keep it fresh. I'm assuming, do you think was it like $25 a pop at the time? Do you know? I can't remember.
No, probably a lot more. At that point, a lot more, because the VHS market didn't really change.
If you bought it, yes.
Yeah. VHS market didn't really change till Top Gun came out on VHS.
That's true, which was 86, 87. So yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so you had to go to this is what drove people to the rentals, the video rental places.
I think, if I remember right, Raiders of the Lost Ark was like a $200 VHS tape.
Yeah, gosh, yeah. Now here's an interesting casting. Could have been here in trivia. Mako was considered for the role of Mr. Miyagi, but was committed to making Conan the Destroyer in 84 at the time. He would then play a similar role in Sidekicks, Kyle, in 1992. Remember that show or movie?
Yeah, a movie. Yes, that was Jonathan Brandis and Chuck Norris. But there was another show, I believe, by that name or a similar name that had Ernie Reyes Jr. in it.
That's true.
A TV show.
Yeah, the Sidekicks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the yellow classic automobile that Daniel polishes in the famous wax on, wax off training scene was later offered by Mr. Miyagi as Daniel's birthday gift, was actually given to Ralph Macchio by the producer, and he still owns it. The car is a 1948 Ford Super Deluxe. That would be cool, Kyle.
You think? Just a little bit.
Wow. I guess they must have owned all those cars or something, I guess. So that's pretty cool. I mentioned he was 23. It says he was 22 during filming. Of course, when it came out, he was probably 23. Some of the cast did not believe him when he was asked about his age. This has always been a thing about Ralph Macchio. He's always looked younger than he is.
He doesn't age. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Chad McQueen, who plays Dutch, is the son of Steve McQueen, famous actor. But what a lot of people may not know is that Steve McQueen was a close friend of Bruce Lee, and he was also one of his pallbearers at his funeral. Elizabeth Shue declined to return to the Karate Kid 2 because she was studying at Harvard. In the script, Allie dumped Daniel for a football player from UCLA. Now, if she didn't have to do the studying in Harvard, do you think it would have made for a just as good as film, or for Karate Kid 2 that came out in 86, or do you like where it went?
I like where it went because it would have never fit in the story for Karate Kid 2.
Yeah, you got Tamlin Tomita, and you're going
Yeah,
to to
exactly.
Okinawa, Japan, and so yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, interesting. Pat Morita himself designed the bonsai logo that was sewed onto Daniel's gi. Is that how you say it? Gi?
Yeah, Gi. Yes,
Gi?
Gi.
Yeah, that's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah. I wanted to read this next one, Kevin, because
Sure, please do.
especially considering the day we're putting this out. When Mr. Miyagi is drunk and celebrating an anniversary, he reveals that he served in the army in the 442nd Regimental Combat Team. The unit, composed mostly of Japanese Americans, many of whom had been in internment camps, fought in Europe during World War II. It became the most highly decorated unit in the history of the United States military.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So William Zabka still owns the red leather jacket he wears in the film.
he better still own that jacket.
Can he fit into it? That's the question.
Well, maybe by the time it's all Cobra Kai's all done and he's all trained up, I don't know.
According to William, the character he plays still irks many people. Some have tried to start fights with him. He has to convince them that the role was specifically written for this movie. I got to tell you, if you're playing one of those characters, I could see that happening.
Well, I know there's been a couple actors who've had a similar problem. I know Jason Isaacs had a very big problem after filming the movie The Patriot. After he killed Heath Ledger in The Patriot, he actually went into a restaurant that refused him service.
Yeah, yeah, that's a bad guy right there. But William Zabka continued his karate training, which is very cool, and became a second-degree green belt. In the opening scene, as we were talking about, of the Karate Kid 2, which came out in 86, was meant to be the ending to this film, the original Karate Kid. Although it wasn't shot until after the second film's production began. In it, Kreese attacks Johnny for losing the tournament. Miyagi confronts Kreese and immobilizes him. Miyagi threatens to strike a deadly blow, but instead comically tweaks Kreese's nose and walks away. Members of the Cobra Kai then drop their belts around Kreese. Both B.B. Hiller's novelization of the film and early copies of the script have this ending. Kyle, do you think that they should have shot that ending to the original Karate Kid?
No, because I think it ends. I think the ending where Karate Kid ends is perfect. And I want to ask you something real quick, Kevin, because I didn't. It was years before I realized this. In the ending shot of Karate Kid, when Johnny hands Daniel the trophy,
Yeah.
I never heard it the first several times I saw it, and I finally heard it where he goes, "You're all right, LaRusso."
Yes. Yeah.
And I never caught that for a very long time. And then I was like, that kind of makes. And then you see where Cobra Kai is, and it's like, well, what's going on here?
I had forgotten about that too, and I remember putting the movie on with the subtitles. I'm like, oh my gosh, he did say that, yeah, And then Daniel goes thanks or something like that, and then he's being lifted up. So, yeah, the crane technique, while basically fictional, is based on a real stance called the crane stance that is used in several traditional karate kata. But is it legal, Kyle?
We'll get to that.
The movie was more or less shot in sequence, which is very unusual. A lot of films are shot out of sequence, so it's interesting for when that happens. Kyle, I was big into BMX, loved my bikes. Daniel's bike is a Mongoose 2.4, became a popular brand after the movie. One of my favorites was Redline, but Mongoose was a very popular bike. Did you ever get into the bikes back in those days? Remember some years that you had?
Oh yeah, I had a couple Huffies.
Yeah, the Huffies were the ones that we got teased for having.
Yeah.
that was kind of like the Kmart version.
Well, the problem was I was in Alaska, so you took what you could get.
This is true. Plus, you had to run with the moose too. So
yeah,
that's
exactly.
True. William Zabka, Ralph Macchio, and Martin Kove are all good friends in real life, Kyle. And obviously, with the resurrection of Karate Kid and these characters, there's another reason why all these guys are still friends. And that's because they're all together with Cobra Kai back again. And they're doing stuff like this, Kyle. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that picture.
All I can think of is one of these things is not like the other.
What are you talking about? This guy's a black belt. He's wearing a black belt right now. I guarantee you.
Raiders black belt is a lot different than the black belt they have.
So obviously we've got Johnny Lawrence there, William Zabka, Ralph Macchio right there, of course, and Kreese. There you go, Martin Kove. But I want to let you guys know this picture opportunity was something I had to take advantage of. I believe it was last year at Dragon Con, and all of these guys were together for a big photo shoot. They did a couple of panels as well. And what's funny too is that people were watching this show before it came on Netflix. So it had a popularity, Kyle, but Netflix has just really blown up this
Um,
whole world in this show.
it's hitting at a perfect time on Netflix because you have the COVID situation, but you have at this point where you have absolutely nothing to watch. There's no new shows coming out.
Yes.
So this is a perfect timing for this, and I am so glad it is getting the recognition it deserves.
So Kyle and everyone, did you see the newest Wonder Woman 84 trailer?
Of course. Come on now,
Okay.
Kevin.
Okay. There's a very humorous scene at the end of that movie where Steve Trevor, is that his full
Yes,
name,
Steve
right?
Trevor. Yes.
Is learning some 80s fashion and he's wearing parachute pants. And he goes, is everyone parachuting? Well, parachute pants were a very popular, fashionable thing to wear in the 80s. And if you go to the scene in the original Karate Kid that we're talking about, it's during the beach party scene. It's the scene at night where Johnny and his Cobra Kai guys show up on their motorcycles, and start trouble with Allie, and then of course get in the first confrontation with Danny. Johnny is wearing classic gray parachute pants. Kyle, I had those pair. Did you have parachute pants?
I did not have parachute pants.
Anyone else in the chat have parachute pants? Because I did. I went to Miller's Outpost here in Southern California, and they were not cheap. I want to say they were $20, which was a lot of money back then, Kyle. But basically,
pair of Levi's.
they were made out of a nylon-y type
Yep.
parachute thing, and they were pretty tight and form-fitting, but they did have some extra pockets. But you couldn't put too much in them because, you know, the way things were, but man, they were powerful. Would you wear parachute pants if they came back into fashion, Kyle?
No.
What, is it too hot for you there in Florida for parachute pants? Is that it?
Yeah, well, the humidity could be an issue. There could be issues because of the humidity. That's all I'm saying.
Robert is saying no way. I don't think, is he saying no way to parachute pants?
Or he's got to be saying no way to parachute. Kevin, I think you might be you and Steve Trevor might be the only ones on the parachute pant bandwagon.
So Kyle, this movie did get some accolades. 1985 Academy Awards. Pat Morita was nominated for Best Actor in a Supporting Role, but you brought to my attention that he was up against some competition. But the question was, is it stiff competition?
Okay, well, first and foremost, I'm gonna just flat out say it. Bill Simmons of The Ringer, you inspired this conversation. I love it when you do this. So yeah, I'm just, and because it is Pat Morita, but this is something where we go back and look and say, did the right man win the award? So Pat Morita was nominated but did not win. The winner was Hank Esknor from The Killing Fields. The other nominees included Adolf Caesar from A Soldier's Story, John Malkovich, Places in the Heart, and Ralph Richardson, Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, Lord of the Apes. Pat Morita should have won this.
Pat Morita got robbed.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of the most iconic roles in Hollywood, maybe.
Yeah, he also missed out on Golden Globes. He was nominated, but he missed out there as well. There was some other, I don't know who the Young Artist Awards are, but it did.
I don't even think they're around anymore.
Yeah, but the movie did win Best Drama. Elizabeth Shue won for Supporting Actress, and nominated was William Zabka as well. So, yeah, Pat Morita. Carl says, do Carvacci pants count? I don't know what those are.
Yeah, sorry, Carl. I can't help you there.
So this movie spawned some sequels, Kyle.
And some which are quite good, and some we should probably just forget about.
I got this collection here, by the way. I was a DVD collection here. This one has, I don't know if you guys can see it. There you go.
Yeah, kill your virtual screen there, Kevin.
No, I kind of like the virtual screen. I'm going to leave that one up. But I got this one here, which has all 4 of the original movies, so to speak.
Yeah, I don't call the next Karate Kid part of the original series.
No,
Pat Morita was in it.
We'll touch on that. So we got Karate Kid Part 2, a sequel in which Daniel accompanies Miyagi on a trip to Okinawa, where he's reunited with loved ones and is challenged with an old adversary. What quick thoughts on this one?
I actually really liked Karate Kid part two. I think it's actually one of those ones that grew on me more over the years.
Yeah.
I think it's just as good as the original in its own way. I think what I really liked is them being in Okinawa. I mean, I think it was actually a lot of it was actually filmed in Hawaii, if I'm not mistaken.
Think so. Yeah. Yeah.
But just the whole idea of getting into Miyagi's past and such. But yeah, and I think they made some right decisions. I think not having Elizabeth Shue back actually helped this film in this case. But you know, let's just say Daniel LaRusso, he's good with the ladies, but he's not good at keeping the ladies.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I think he finished very well for himself if you watch Cobra Kai, but we'll get to that.
Okay, I really liked it too. I think it's a great companion piece. What I love about these films that you can watch one right after the other and kind of have this Karate Kid, Karate Kid 2 little tiny marathon, because they take place right after each other, and it's a great adventure on both ends. And I really, really like this one. And apparently there's rumors that the third season of Cobra Kai is going to have some ties to this. So
yeah.
Let's get to the Karate Kid 3, a sequel in which Kreese seeks revenge on Daniel and Miyagi with the help of new allies. Robin Lively is in this, plays the I guess the love interest. Thomas Ian Griffith plays Terry. Of course, Martin Cove returns as well. So does Pat E. Johnson as the referee again.
Yeah, we also have
go ahead.
Sean Kanan as Mike Barnes.
Yes. I gotta tell you, it's been a while since I've seen this. I want to say maybe 5 years ago. I'm having trouble remembering it.
Okay, so let's talk about this film, because this film is just annoying on so many levels. First of all,
tell me how you really feel.
Well, no, I mean, there's just it's we get Daniel going to the dark side. We get I'm a big Robin Lively fan. I've always kind of had a little bit of crushing on her, but she leaves not even halfway through the film. You've got Terry Silva, who's just annoying as all get out. And this Mike Barnes is just, no. I know Adam O'Brien is a big fan of certain elements of this film, but no. There's just this was we need to do a trilogy of this, so let's do a trilogy of this. And it felt rushed and it felt out of place.
Yeah, agreed. By the way, Robert McGregor says the second upped the stakes in the story and the fight and helped flesh out Miyagi's backstory. Very good point there.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the things too. Going from 2 to 3, 2 felt like you were aging, you were growing with the characters, and 3 just felt like you were going backwards again.
A little bit, yeah, definitely. Carl Nordstrom said Karate Kid is only a two-parter in my mind. I think both films are on the same level of fun and cheese. The third is not even close to the two previous. So yeah, definitely there. So then we get to the next Karate Kid in '94, Kyle, a revamped sequel in which Hilary Swank appears as Miyagi's new student, Julie Pierce. I actually think this is better than the third one. I find it enjoyable to a certain point. What about you?
Yeah, this is one of those things. A lot of people kind of went back to this film when Hilary Swank actually had a moment with $1 Million Baby.
She won an Oscar too.
Yeah.
Michael Ironside was in this as well.
Yeah, to be honest with you, it just kind of felt like, why? Why are we doing this and not having really anything? I will say this: Walton Goggins was in it.
That's true. Yeah. I forgot about that. I enjoy Hilary Swank's performance in this, but again, it's just I just think of it as another chapter of Miyagi's legacy. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay, so then we get to the remake, the 2010 The Karate Kid, which stars Jackie Chan and Will Smith's son, Jaden Smith. And this is set in Beijing, China, Kyle. Did you see this?
Yeah, I enjoyed this film. It wasn't spectacular, but I like Jackie Chan and kind of this remake in his role as the instructor, the Miyagi role. Jaden Smith, I still kind of feel at this point is more nepotism than anything.
Right. Yeah.
No, I thought this was a fun movie. It didn't have the magic of the original.
It didn't have the
I
magic. It did have, like you said, it did have Jackie Chan, which was great. I love the filming locations
Yeah.
in China. I thought this was gorgeous. My biggest pet peeve with this film is that it should not have been called The Karate Kid. It should have been called The Kung Fu Kid.
Yes,
And I think that
exactly.
would have been cool if it was still the same story, but just with a different name and him learning a different style of martial arts, I thought would have been cool. The fact that also that it takes place, in this other country as well. I just wish they would have gone with that. I don't know why they didn't, because it doesn't really fit with me here. But Taraji P. Henson plays the mom, and she was really, really good in that. I do have to give that to her.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's just stop, because when is she not good?
This is true. This is very true. Robert says the remake was very forgettable and the worst of the lot. That's his point on it. Okay, so let's get into the TV series. We get Cobra Kai, of course, and we're going to talk about the other TV series. I mean, let's just do that first. Let's talk about
Yeah,
the other TV series.
let's get the other TV series out of the way, so we can talk about the good TV series.
There was a short-lived animated series in 1989. It was a spin-off that was also called The Karate Kid, and it aired on NBC. And the animated series was loosely based on the film series, with Daniel and Miyagi and a new friend, Taki, traveled the world in search of ancient Japanese talisman. I never saw this, Kyle. Did you?
I think I might have saw one episode of this or something. It was redone later using Jackie Chan and called the Jackie Chan Adventures, and was done so much better. But I will say this: it inspired part of that very bizarre Karate Kid toy line that came out late in the 80s too.
Yes, we actually talked about that in an episode of Time Warp when we were talking about some of the popular toys along with the films in whatever year that it was. And there was actually some pretty cool figures and stuff that came out. Very hard to find now, I think. So yeah.
Yeah, they are. But the thing I remember about those action figures was like the Johnny and Kreese figures had little knives that popped out of their hand.
Carl's calling you out here, man. He says, "You can say it, Kyle. Jaden Smith sucks. I can't watch that movie because of him."
Oh, come, Carl, we know you watch After Earth on a loop.
After Earth. Oh, God. Robert said, "I saw a clip of it on YouTube video on Forgotten Cartoons." Good call there. Okay, let's get to the TV show on one of the reasons why we're doing this podcast or slash, live video here on YouTube, celebrating the original Karate Kid in 1984. But Cobra Kai right now, recently, last month, brought on to Netflix. It was originally aired in 2018 on YouTube under the new pay version there. And Kyle, you and I saw that. We saw the first one, waited the next year, and saw the second season in 2019. And we were all on top of this. And this is a series where Daniel and Johnny rekindle their old rivalry after Johnny reopens Cobra Kai Dojo. The series draws upon all of the sequels as well as the original film. Kyle, this show is on fire right now. Everyone is enjoying it. I love seeing this, although I do take a little bit of pride of being one of the OG fans, as we call it
exactly.
now.
Both of us right here. Come on now.
But I'm very happy people are enjoying this right now because it is so good. A lot of people are going, Johnny is my spirit animal, and just totally getting into this. Kyle, we did a show about the first season. We talked about the second season on older versions of Culture Clash. Why do you think this series is so popular and is striking a chord with us?
Because we're all at that age where this movie hits where a lot of us grew up at, and this is the kind of movie or series that it's hitting on all those classic 80s things. And a lot of us at this point, we sympathized with Johnny because a lot of us are more closer to that than they are where Daniel's at this point. And the other thing is William Zabka is brilliant in this show.
He is.
And it's just phenomenal. And I got to say this too. It is an incredible batch of young actors.
Oh yeah.
There is not all these kids that they've cast in these roles. None of them are bad actors. And it's so well done. And it's paying such a good tribute to what the original Karate Kid was, and because it's been so heavily involved with Ralph Macchio and Zabka from the start on the creative process of this, and the two guys who were working with them to make this happen, it really is a labor of love. But it's one of these remakes that's been done with pure intelligence and care, and not just thrown out there.
Yeah, the cast is, you're right, Kyle. The cast is just amazing. These young actors. And the really cool thing about how this first season of Cobra Kai started was that you get Johnny's side right straight up
Mhm.
first
Yep.
episode. And I remember episode 1 and 2 were released free on YouTube for everyone to see
Mm.
it, to kind of get them to come in and subscribe to the rest of it. And you see him down on his luck, and he's stuck in the 80s, whether it's his car or his soundtrack, his flip phone, doesn't know anything about Facebook and social media and stuff like that, and you're just feeling for this guy. And that's what I love, that William Zabka's character of Johnny gets this kind of redemption. But then what's cool is that Daniel LaRusso is played as kind of almost the jerky villain in that first episode, but then the second episode it flips. You get to see Daniel LaRusso and his family and his side, and he's got the successful car dealership. He's got his own kids, and it's a very interesting way that they did that. And then it kind of goes back and forth throughout that first season as you're learning about the new characters as well.
Yeah, and I think one of the things about it too is, especially as they've gotten older, you kind of see both of them with the hard breaks that Johnny's had in life, and you see kind of Daniel's gotten. I don't want to say everything on a silver platter, but he's had luck, and it's just, and it all ties back to that one moment, and it's one of those, like, the butterfly effect. What happens if something just changes right then and there?
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. And like you mentioned, the cast too, we had, I think you say his name is it Zolo Morinda? He
Yes,
plays Miguel Diaz. Forgive me if I'm
yeah,
mispronouncing
and
that.
he's
He is
phenomenal.
he is so good in this. And then of course we get Courtney Hengler, who plays Amanda LaRusso, the daughter, and then Tanner Buchanan is Robbie Keane, who plays Johnny Lawrence's son in this, estranged son.
Mhm.
Wonderful cast here. It's just really, really good. Mary Mauser as Samantha LaRusso is awesome
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
The wife,
I also got to throw out some love to Jacob Bertrand, who plays Hawk.
Hawk Jacob. Yeah, very funny, a lot of good drama in this. But what I like about it is that you see Johnny through the influence that, you know he's giving influence to Miguel, but Miguel's giving the same influence back, and you seeing Johnny mature and kind of, look at his life and what's important to him. And obviously he wants to open up this dojo and teach kids his way of karate, and these kids that are getting made fun of, not just physically, but also being humiliated through one of the biggest problems in the world right now with children and young people in general, and that is online bullying, in many different ways. And I love the fact that they address that as well. And I think that's just one of the cool things about this. So we obviously are enjoying this a lot, Kyle.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you brought up the bullying aspect, because it's one of the things that it take it's it's one of the side effects of Cobra Kai, because it takes you back to the original film,
Yeah.
and it makes you look at the confrontations between Daniel and Cobra Kai, and you wonder who really was the bad guy.
Yes, and we're gonna talk about that in a second here, but I did want to mention that the Cobra Kai writer and producer of season 3, he says season 3 is filmed, edited, and ready to go. September 6th is when this came out. The third season of Cobra Kai and the Karate Kid sequel series enjoyed increased popularity since moving from YouTube to Netflix last month, and has been complete and set for release in 2021. We were supposed to get it at the end of this year, but COVID obviously changed things. Responding to a fan question on Twitter about whether season 3 has been shot yet, show co-creator John Hurwitz tweeted Sunday, filmed, edited, ready to go. Look for it on Netflix in 2021. Hashtag Cobra Kai, hashtag Cobra Kai on Netflix, hashtag Netflix. Kyle, I can wait a little bit longer. I'm excited, man.
Yeah, and I think the only reason why we are waiting a little bit longer is because of the move to Netflix. Netflix want to give people as much of a chance to watch season 1 and season 2. I don't think they want to get it caught lost in this holiday rush. My guess is we see Cobra Kai. I'm going to say February of 2021, right after football is over with.
I hope so. I remember the first season came out around that time, like February, March, or something like that, and it was a good time to have it. So I
Yeah.
agree. Real quick before we get into the big question here, there was a Broadway adaptation on January 22nd, 2020. It was announced that The Karate Kid would be adapted into a Broadway musical. I love this, Kyle. The show will be produced by the Akinsho Tita Group and directed by Eamon Miyamoto. I don't know how COVID has changed this. I'm assuming it's delayed, Kyle, but I would love to see a musical version of this.
Yeah, I gotta see how they're gonna pull this off. That's
Can you imagine the songs and the soundtrack being sung as part of the musical?
if you don't have the best around, you're nothing's nothing's gonna ever keep this down.
I saw a musical live on Broadway of Adam Sandler's The Wedding Singer. It was fantastic, and I hope they can do justice to The Karate Kid. That would be great.
We will
Okay,
see what they do.
listeners and you guys in the chat, we need to ask you guys a question to let us know here. We want to know the big question here. Daniel versus Johnny. But a little note here though, both Johnny and Daniel have a temper. But I want to kind of play through the original film here real quick. And I want to talk about the physical and verbal altercations. The beach party. Johnny pushes Daniel first. Daniel rushes twice and gets tripped by Johnny. Johnny kicks Daniel in the gut. Daniel takes a cheap shot to the face. Johnny then hits and kicks him 3 times more. Okay, Kyle?
Yep.
Then we get to the PE soccer class. Daniel is intentionally tripped by Johnny's friend, and they tussle. Danny punches him, and Daniel gets kicked out of class. So we're seeing how Daniel doesn't put up to stuff, and he's up to a fight if it's presented to him. Okay. On motorbikes, Johnny and Cobra Kai and his friends, and this is 5-1, by the way, corner Daniel on his bike and force him down a ravine, and he crashes. Okay. Then we head to the Halloween school party. Daniel turns the hose on Johnny in the bathroom stall. That's while he's rolling a joint. Johnny and his Cobra Kai friends run him down and beat him. And this is a 5-on-1 here. Note, Allie does trip Johnny and a few of his friends after they start chasing him. Then that karate tournament in the dressing room, Dutch threatens Daniel verbally, basically says he's going to kill him. Now, let's jump forward to Cobra Kai here a little bit, Kyle. This is, I believe, in the first or second episode. Johnny is upset about Daniel. He finds out about Daniel's son or Daniel's daughter being part of the girls that total his car. Johnny spray paints a penis on Daniel's billboard. Daniel gets revenge too. In Cobra Kai, he gets Johnny's rent raised on him. And he also fights against having the Cobra Kai reinstated for the karate thing. And then there's a really interesting episode in season 1 called Different But Same. It's the episode 9 one. Despite Johnny's efforts to move forward, he confronts Daniel about the assault on his property. In an attempt to appease Johnny, he makes them revisit the past together. And this is where Daniel's wife says, just give him a new car from the lot and be done with it. They go out driving in the car. They start talking and reminiscing. They go to Daniel's old apartment. They go out and have a drink. Daniel learns about the horrible stepfather that Johnny had and so on and so forth. They kind of get to know each other a little bit. So Kyle and listeners, who do you sympathize with more and why? Johnny or Daniel? Who's the bigger jerk?
Okay, so at this point, if you're going just off the original film, Johnny's the bigger jerk in the original film. And the Cobra, there's no doubt. 5-on-1s, destroying the property, throwing him down a ravine, all of that. However, I think what we have from Cobra Kai is we have a little bit more sympathy for Johnny, seeing the things he had gone through and why he ended up the way he ended up. I think what you're seeing though is, and what makes you kind of turn on Daniel a little bit is Johnny hits this hot button with him and he hits that temper. And I think that was one of the things in the original movie that they were trying to play out was Mr. Miyagi was teaching Daniel balance and not to react in the way he was at the beginning of the film and throughout the early part of the film. Without Miyagi around in all these years, Daniel kind of fell back into some bad habits that, yes, are a little bit jerky himself. He will instigate just as much as he as Johnny will at this point, and it's more like two small children going at it. And there's a great scene between the two wives where they're like just they're off getting along, having a great time, and the two of them are just kind of going at it. And I think it's resentment on both sides because Daniel, no matter what, even though he proved his point, kind of showed he can never really let it go.
Yeah, you see that you, you see that Daniel has a temper, and he doesn't like when he doesn't like something, he does what he can to change it. But Johnny, you see, he was a product of obviously not having a good father figure, and he obviously went to the person that he felt that would understand him more, and that was Kreese. And obviously Kreese was not the best father, but it was a father figure. And you see how that affected Johnny, in the Karate Kid. But as we get to Cobra Kai, obviously things have not gone the way that Johnny wants, and it takes Miguel, someone that he helps out, to kind of show him his own way. And interesting too, Carl says here that Johnny had the skills and the emotion. Now he has the discipline and heart. Cobra Kai has changed everything. He also said that Cobra Kai makes him feel like Daniel got away from the Miyagi feel. Robert says Daniel was a sympathetic character. In Cobra Kai, we are seeing more rounded characters, and neither of them is worse than the other. It's like a punch for punch fight. That's a good point.
It's opposite sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I think you talk about Cobra Kai. I think one of the things that was good is I think Johnny was still a little bit of that jerk in the beginning of Cobra Kai, and you brought up Miguel, and I think that's where when Johnny sees this kid who kind of earns his respect, but then sees through his own eyes that he's kind of ending up the way Johnny was in high school. It kind of starts clicking. Things start kind of clicking with Johnny that he doesn't want to go this way. But then, unfortunately, his own insecurities, when a certain character shows up again in season 2, this send him right back down to this path. And what we find is that the biggest problem for Johnny is he's been so manipulated throughout his life.
Yeah. You found yourself, and this is what's cool about Cobra Kai, is it's kind of Johnny's redemption here. But there's still times where I feel that, and let me ask you this, chat, and let me ask you this, Kyle, that Daniel LaRusso's still a little on a high horse, obviously he's the boss, he's his own boss of the dealerships and stuff, but and he's doing the best to teach Johnny's son karate because he's, his own son just wants to play video games and eat and stuff. So he finds someone that is a son for him, and being able to teach someone else the Miyagi ways. But I still think that Daniel's learning as well, which is nice. But that's why I love that one scene in the first episode where you actually see them come to head and kind of learn about each other. But it just kind of feels like that, with what happens in season 2 with Martin Cove returning, Johnny's stuck in a hard place here because now he's lost his class. And, we see Ali trying to call him, and it's going to be very interesting to see how he gets out of that sand and gets back on his feet.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and I'm curious to see how season 3 is going to incorporate the elements of Karate Kid Part 2 that they're hinting at. I'm looking forward to that. I think what you're going to see is more in season 3 is Johnny's going to have his story and Daniel's going to have his story, and it's going to be almost two separate things going on with one intertwining factor.
So Kyle, Johnny or Daniel?
I'm still. It's close. I think I have much more sympathy for Johnny, and again, I love William Zabka's performance, but I mean, the hell they put Daniel through in the first Karate Kid film is
it's insane. It's rough. When you get 5 people getting on one skinny little kid, even though he puts up a fight, and and Johnny says at the end of the film, like, you couldn't leave well enough alone. I'm like, well, dude, come on, man. 5 against 1. One guy pops you. I mean, it's tough,
Exactly. There's one thing I got to shout out. Johnny takes down Daniel at the beginning of the movie, and all these guys who he just made friends with just bail on him. Like,
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, those obviously aren't real great guys either.
So it's true, but that's what's great about this series and the movies is that you feel for both characters, and the series Cobra Kai has done a wonderful job. Wouldn't you agree? Has done a wonderful job of not only bringing new characters into this world, but paying a wonderful tribute to the original source.
Yeah, I think so too, and it's done something that I think that even makes the Karate Kid itself even more of a couch potato theater film. It's made it even that much more rewatchable. It was already very much a rewatchable film. There's a lot of times you end up getting in the middle of this and you film on cable, especially when it's making the cable rounds, and you sit and finish it off. But I think Cobra Kai has made a lot of people go back and on streaming services or
Yeah.
finding it their old DVDs or whatever. And I think the Karate Kid has gone to another level of couch potato theaterness.
There is a DVD that you can get right now. It's cheap. I want to say it's anywhere from like 10 to 20 bucks. I think it was at Walmart where you can get all of the Karate Kid movies. Obviously, Karate Kid 1, 2, 3, the next Karate Kid. And you can also get the one with Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith. It's all in one easy thing in case you're curious. So you touched on this, Kyle. Let's wrap things up here. Final thoughts. If anyone in the chat there wants to say something, please do. Now's your time. How rewatchable is this movie for you? How often do you actually revisit it, Kyle? And have you done it more now?
I think it's probably been about probably I rewatched it right before season 2 of Cobra Kai came out.
Yeah.
That's probably the last time I rewatched it. It's usually once, probably every 12 to 18 months. I'll end up rewatching this film, whether it's because I just put it on or I catch it on cable.
Right. Right. Yeah. I watched the whole series, I think before or soon after I saw the new remake with Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan. I watched the whole entire series, and it was nice to catch up on that and critique some of the Karate Kid 3 and the next Karate Kid. I probably revisit this movie maybe once every couple of years, and but I got to tell you though, I've watched it several times since I knew that we were going to do this podcast, and I've enjoyed it every single time. It's a fun rewatch, and all the different you notice different things with certain characters and mannerisms and stuff like that. Different, things
Yeah.
in the background. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where does this film stand in your movie fandom now, Kyle? Is it something that you own? Is it something
Oh
that you
yeah,
always refer to? Yeah.
this has been in the library for a long time. Like I said, this is one of those feel good movies. It's a classic '80s film. It is. Pat Morita is timeless.
Yeah.
Mr. Miyagi is a timeless, iconic movie character at this point. There's not even a question about it. And again, the fact that wax on, wax off. Yeah, and some of the just quotes from this just tell you how timeless this is.
Some comments in the chat here. Carl Nordstrom says, "The eye, always look eye." Thanks for the truly entertaining podcast. Thank you very much, Carl. We appreciate that. Robert says, "I just bought it on 4K and we plan to watch it before season 3." And my buddy Carlos chimes in. They're doing a good job of showing that both characters have flaws and have been through some struggles in life. It shows that old rivalries can bring out the best and worst in people. Excellent point, Carlos, and that is a good point to end this. And I just want to say this is one of my favorite movies of the 80s, and I love revisiting this, and I love the fact that we have a TV series that is now going to be giving us a 3rd season that celebrates this as well. And I just want to reiterate, Kyle, that I love how they have paid tribute to the original source here, whether it's the music, the time. I love the flashbacks. What quick thought on that? What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Cobra Kai has done a wonderful job of everything that it needs to do to pay tribute to the Karate Kid. And with it being on Netflix, I think it's not going away anytime soon. So
This is true.
That's even.
This is true, which means we won't get it on video for a long time for those of us that like physical media. So I'm gonna have to wait a while for it to come out on Blu-ray. Maybe I'll get it digitally. Any chance we can get this on Laserdisc? That would be nice, Kyle.
Kevin, I have a feeling when you get into the sparring tournament with Netflix, you're gonna sweep the leg.
Sweep the leg. Kyle, thank you so much for being my partner and talking a little Karate Kid, brother.
Absolutely. I got to go do a little wax on, wax off now.
I want to give a shout out to the chat again. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you all in there. John Cage, appreciate it very, very much. You guys all checking in, and we hope that you guys enjoyed our live YouTube of Couch Potato Theater, the original Karate Kid from 1984. I'd like to thank Kyle, and until next time, we will see you on the couch. Thank you, and goodbye, everyone. Sweep the leg!
For the record, the crane kick was highly illegal. Thanks, everybody in the chat. We love you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, everybody. See you next time.